Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel for another video. This is Cassie. Today we are going to be looking at the June 2021 Pink and Main Crafty Courtyard kit called Vitamin C, and it is sold out, but I will have everything else linked down below. So first of all, what I did is I die cut all the pieces out using the dies that came in the kit, and I'm not going to use these on this particular card, but I wanted to show you that I did it out of all the colors of the cardstock. Our first card today is going to be a slimline card. So my base is 7 inches by 8.5 inches, and I'm scoring that at 3.5 inches. And I have some pattern paper. You'll notice I've cut that down. We'll take a look at that a little bit later. But I wanted to pull out the stencil that came in the kit, and I am going to do some blending of this stencil. I'm going to be using my Pink and Main mini ergonomic brush, and I have some Simon Hurley Create inks that I pulled out that match perfectly. Now, I made the mistake of not cleaning my brush off very well the last time I used it, so this Minty Fresh that I'm using doesn't look very minty fresh. And it's okay. I'm going to end up bringing in some Remember Me Simon Hurley Create ink on the edges, and it'll make it look a whole lot better. So moral of the story is either get a blending an ergonomic blending brush for every color family if you can, or really clean your brushes a whole lot better than I just did. So, all right, so we've got that, and I actually like the way that looks. And then I'm going to die cut that out using one of my circle dies that I have. So head through your stash, take a look, and you'll probably find something. The next thing I want to do is do a little bit of stamping. I like how these are some silhouette stamps, so we're going to use that. And I did rub that on my hand. That's only to condition the stamp a little bit. But then I'm pulling out some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and I'm going to stamp that down. I love how crisp of a black this is. It's a pigment ink, and that's why it stamps as nicely as it does. But it does take a second to dry. All right, so I have cut down my patterned paper. I used 2 pieces, and they're 3.5 inches so that they will go all the way across the length of the card. And obviously, by attaching this here, there is going to be a seam, but I'm not worried about it. I am going to cover that with another piece of patterned paper right over the top. Yeah, because that is not a continuous pattern. So I'm going to take this piece of patterned paper and stick that over the top, trying to line that up on my glass mat. I have a lot hanging off of all the edges. And so the easiest way I've found is I'm just going to put this into my guillotine trimmer, and we're going to trim off all of that excess that way. And then that's just the easiest way I've found, and the way that I can get the straightest cut is just to stick it inside my guillotine trimmer. And then once those are cut off, we'll be ready to start attaching the rest of our bits. So I'll attach down the circle. You could use some foam tape if you wanted to. I decided to just attach it down with a little bit of liquid glue. And then I have the sequin mix. I put that into a little container, and I'm going to attach several of those sequins down. It's so cute. There are shells. There are just various colors in there, and it matches so perfectly. But I'm just going to put that down with a little bit of that liquid glue and my crystal katana. But I love that there are shells in here. This would be such a great sequin mix for shakers. All right, so that's going to finish off card number 1. Card number 2 is going to use the papers in an interesting way. So the first blue piece that I have is going to be my base. It's just one piece, and it is cut to 5.5 inches by 4.25. Our white piece is a little bit smaller. It's 5.25 by 4 inches. And then this piece here, this pattern paper, was 5.25 by 4.5 inches. I'm going to have this wrap around that white piece. So I did score it at 4.5 inches. And so we're going to attach it that way. So that will be the opening of our card. I'm going to take some 1/2 inch score tape and put that on the inside of that fold. Some 1/4 inch would probably work a little bit better, but I'm about out. So I'm using my 1/2 inch, and it'll work fine. It just will leave a little bit of a lip on the back side of it, which is not a big deal because that's going to get covered. But I'm going to attach down my white piece of cardstock. I'm just going to line it up on the inside and fold that piece over the top. I'll find that it didn't go all the way to that white edge, so I'll put this into my guillotine trimmer and trim off that tiny little excess. It isn't much. It's like a hair's worth. And then that's going to be the opening to the front of our card. I do have a leftover piece of this pattern paper that I'm going to trim down, and I decide I want to trim it down even more, and then we can attach that to the inside of our piece. This is going to be very die cut heavy because the die cuts in here are just so cute, so beach themed. And like I said, I did them out of all of the colors. And I'm going to use this blue piece. I'm going to pop out all of the letters. You can save those for another card, and I actually end up using those for the very last card that I make today. But I'm going to attach this down to the yellow cardstock that came in the kit. This is one way to do it rather than taking the letters and attaching it on the inside. I'm just going to trim around that. And then I'll take the O for hello and we'll attach the center back into it. Because I did save that as well. But that's just an easy way to make sure that there's color behind it. And I like how that turned out. So we're going to put some foam tape on the back of the words Hello Sunshine. And as you can see, I did pick out some die cuts. I'll attach that down to the front, and then I'm just going to use liquid glue to attach down the rest of these. Now, it will die cut out all of those little center pieces, but I chose to leave those inside the starfish, inside the little clamshell, and then this other one, that one just die cut with the little circular little shell. And I think it's so cute on the front there. I do have to bring in some of those glitter enamel dots. Max showed his tiny little head for a few seconds. He didn't stick around long. He had plenty to do, but yes, my little Max came and sat on my lap for a few minutes just to see what Mom was up to. All right, once we have all of those down, we're going to attach this to that patterned paper card base, just using some more of that liquid glue. And this is just a fun way to make a card using that patterned paper. So that finishes off card number 2. Love how that one turned out. Card number 3 is going to be a square card. I am going to use the sunglass die and run that through my little mini die cutting machine using that blue glitter cardstock, and then I just pulled out some dark gray that I had in my stash so that I could combine those. I'm going to take a piece of patterned paper and run that through my die cutting machine with this embossing folder. Follow the instructions to your die cutting machine and you won't have any problems, but take a look at that. It doesn't show as much until I start rubbing this GRRR ink pad over the top. That is, I think, one of my favorite ways to use the embossing folders is to do it over the top of some patterned paper and then make it stand out a little bit more by using an ink pad. We're going to go back to doing some blending. I'm starting with my lightest color, and yeah, I still didn't get it that cleaned off. And that was Over the Moon. Then we have some Overzealous that we're bringing in, and you'll notice I'm not cleaning it off in between these. They're light enough colors that it's not going to contaminate the next one. And then that final color is Remember Me, and I really do like how that turned out. So now I want to put the sun on there, and so I'm going to take a black ink that I have and blend that over the top. This is a great little scene building stencil, and it's a great way to build up your stash as well. So I love that about the Pink and Main kits. They're so great for stash building. So many pieces that you can just add to your stash, and then you've got plenty of, stencils and stamp sets and die cuts. It's great. All right, I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine with the circle die again. I'm attaching a little bit of washi tape to the back side of my sunglasses, and we'll attach the insides, and that's going to get those ready. And then I'm going to stamp a sentiment from the stamp set, just using some embossing ink and then covering that with some white embossing powder. Nothing a dose of vitamin C can't fix. Love that. And then we'll heat set that till that is smooth and melted. You'll notice that Hello Sunshine doesn't pop a whole lot on this one, but I'm going to go ahead and just run that Overzealous over the top. It does help it to pop a little bit more. And I did put foam tape on the back of it. And then we're going to attach the rest of this down with some liquid glue. I jumped the gun, put some glue on the back of my sunglasses without realizing that my circle wasn't attached yet. So I'm going to attach that first. Then we'll come back in with those sunglasses. And then I'll peel off the release paper from my foam tape and attach the Hello Sunshine down. And this is a nice, fun square card. You will need a little bit of extra postage to throw this through the mail, but no big deal. If we spent this much time on a card, what's a little bit more postage, right? All right, and attach down that sentiment. And then I do have some more of those glitter enamel dots that I'm going to add to the outside to make that blue pop a little bit more. So we'll just be fairly liberal with those. And these are a great stash builder as well. So I make 5 cards. I don't use these on every one of them, but I do end up still having plenty of the glitter enamel dots left over, which is awesome. I love that. And then I have a card base that I'm just going to attach this down to. It's a little bit smaller than a 6" by 6". And once that is down, that's going to finish off card number 3. I do end up going through most of the cards and adding a bunch of those die cuts to the inside later on. Card number 4 is going to be a fun fold. I love doing those. So I have some white cardstock trimmed down to about 2 1/4 inches by, I guess, maybe 4 1/4. And I'm going to stamp out the flamingo, the solid flamingo from this stamp set using some Over the Moon Simon Hurley Create ink. We're going to just randomly stamp that all over that background. It might have been fun to have this in a coral color, but I decided to go with the color palette that is out there, so that's why we have Over the Moon, and I think it looks kind of cute. So it's just randomly stamped all over there. My next thing to do would be to score this at about 1/4 inch. So I'm going to fold that over. This is going to fold over the top to make our fun fold. And then I'm eventually going to attach this down to this piece of pattern paper that I have trimmed down to 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. This piece of white cardstock needs to be trimmed down to fit inside that. And then that like sand color, that one's going to be trimmed down as well. So I'll use some liquid glue on that flap. Sorry, that was off camera. And then we'll just attach it to our patterned paper at the top, just making sure that that is nice and adhered. And then when I'm happy with that, we're going to trim down this piece of cardstock to 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. So that will be the full front of an A2 size card. And then we'll use that same liquid glue to attach this down to that card base. So the only thing that's going to open is this little flap on the front, which is fun. So if you don't have a lot to say to a recipient, this is the perfect type of card to make. And then I'll take this piece of white cardstock and attach that underneath so that when you lift the flap, this is what will be exposed. You could write your little message right under there. I think that's so cool. All right, I do want to stamp out a sentiment, so I'm going to use some of that lime green cardstock that came in the kit. Stamp that out using that VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And then I am going to trim this down in my guillotine trimmer. And then I did pull out a little blue shell that we're going to attach as well. So this is going to hang off the edge. Make sure you don't glue that over the edge. Just glue it onto the flap. And then same thing with our little shell. We're going to attach that. Some of that's going to be hanging off the side. You could add some little bits to it, but I left it as is, and I love how that turned out. So that is card number 4. Super fun to do those fun flaps or fun folds. All right, now we're on to the last card of the day, which is going to be a scene builder. So many of you had mentioned when you saw this kit, when I did the unboxing, that you couldn't wait to see what kind of a scene I might create. And so that is what we're doing here. I just have a piece of white cardstock that came in the kit. I think I cut this down to about 3 1/2 inches by 5 1/2 inches. And then I'm going to ink blend all around these edges using that Over the Moon ink, leaving it kind of white in the center. And then I'll pick up that Heffy tape, and we are going to mask off the bottom part, or the top part. And that is going to be where our water will be. And this is going to be the Remember Me ink. I'll clean off my blender a little bit, and then I'm going to blend that all over, making it nice and deep. I want it to be a good, really pretty teal blue. All right, so we'll peel that Heffy tape away to reveal the backdrop for our scene. And we're going to do some silhouette stamping. So I tried to stamp out the trees. Did not work. Oh my gosh. Surprisingly, I was able to stamp it right down over the top, and there is no double stamping. Talk about luck, right? All right, moving on to our sun and some clouds. I love this. This is so fun. So many cute little elements in here. We've got our boat, a dolphin, and a bird. We're going to put several birds in there. But this stamp set has lots of little critters for under the sea type scenes. The sky's the limit. It's just super fun. I do bring in a black pen so that I can make it look like the trees are attached to a little bit of an island or the shore. and then our scene is done. Here is the other way I was talking about if you want to add color behind. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that liquid glue and attach this down to a scrap piece of pattern paper. It doesn't matter that it's not the same size. It is definitely big enough. And then I'm going to start putting the letters in that come from the blue cardstock that I had earlier. So this is definitely another way to do it. It does take a little more time than the way I showed you earlier, but this is neat because it has that inlay look, which is so cool. And you've got lots of options for colors as well. And heck, you could even take the letters and do them all different colors if you wanted to, doing it this way, which could be fun. And then we'll add the little center to the O, and we'll finish up the rest of the word sunshine. And then when that's done, we're going to trim off that excess pattern paper around it. And then we're going to start attaching everything. I'm loving how this looks. So we'll use that same liquid glue we've been using the whole time, attach this down to our card panel, and then attach down our sentiment. I just love that Hello Sunshine. And then I'm also going to attach some of the sequins. I'm sticking to mostly like the white or the opaque clear, I guess they're not clear if they're opaque, the white ones. And then we'll attach this down to a card base, which is just a white card base. And then when that's attached, that's going to finish off our cards for today. So let's go ahead and take a look. Normally I have a scene where I show you all of the cards one by one, but I didn't film that. So here are the cards. I would love to know what you think of them. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already done so, and leave your favorite card down in the comment section down below. Like I said, I'd love to know which one you liked the best if you did have a favorite. As always, I'll see you very soon in another video, and I hope that you guys have a great day. Bye, everybody.